Yeah, good afternoon everyone. This is Ramesh, your English subject. Today I would like to discuss about the articles topic, which is the most important in English grammar. Now let us start our class. So what is an article? Articles actually they are the words which are used before the nouns. They are called articles. There are the two types of articles we have. One is the indefinite articles and another one is definite article. Indefinite articles a and in the sense of one and any we use indefinite articles a and an articles. Definite articles the in the sense of this and that article which refers particular person or any object they are called that definite articles. The example is the is a definite article in the sense of this and that, so we use the definite article. So articles mostly they are used before the nouns. You see that actually the words which are used before the nouns and which determine the nouns they are called adjectives. So articles function as demonstrative adjectives. Demonstrative adjectives the articles functions. At the same time the articles whereas they functions like determiners before the nouns. So like the articles they use in the sentences. So once again I repeat it, articles they are the words which are used before the nouns. Means here that articles function as demonstrative adjectives. Already we have known about the adjectives. What is the duty of the adjectives? It describe the noun, it modify the noun, it determine the noun. The word which is determine the noun they are called adjectives. So here articles also they function as an adjectives. They determine the noun, so that's why they are called determinative articles and demonstrative adjectives. We consider both. So how many types of articles? Two types of articles. So what are they here? Indefinite article, definite article. Indefinite article means what? The article which doesn't refer particular person, place or any object, they are called indefinite articles. Once again I repeat it, indefinite article means what? The article which doesn't refer any particular person, place or object, they are called indefinite articles. Example a and an. In the sense of one and any meaning we use indefinite articles. Now definite articles. What is the definition of the definite article? The article which refers a particular person, place or object, that article is called definite article. The is called the definite articles. So now let us discuss about that indefinite articles. Briefly, so many rules and regulations we have that when do we use a and an. We confuse a lot here. Where do we use a and where do we use an? Actually indefinite article especially they use it before the singular countable nouns. Singular nouns and countable nouns before we use indefinite articles. I said clearly the article which doesn't refer the particular person, place or any object, they use indefinite articles. When do we use indefinite articles? Before the singular countable nouns. Before the singular countable. Countable means the noun which we can count, they are called the countable nouns. Singular nouns. Okay, a boy, a girl, like that. Okay, no? So like indefinite article used before the singular countable nouns. That is a use. Now let us see. We confuse, a, where do we use, and where do we use? So they give the same meaning, but where do we use? That's mostly we confuse that here. Based on the sounds, yes, we use a and an article. So actually we have the two sounds, vowel sounds and consonant sounds. Vowel sounds, 20 vowel sounds we have in English grammar and 24 sounds, consonant sounds we have in English grammar. Total 44 sounds. Among these 44 sounds, 20 sounds are vowel sounds and 24 sounds are consonant sounds. Before vowel sounds, an article we use. Before the consonant sounds we use a article we use. Now let us see that some rules and regulations which are there here. A is used before the word beginning with the consonant sound. The word must give the consonant sound. So you see that boy, student, child, book, already you know that. Yes, consonant sound. You see ka nunchi bandira variki. Okay, now from ka to bandira, the sounds which gives that they are called consonant sounds here. Ba, boy, ba sound. So that's why a boy. Now a, child, cha sound. So that's why a is used. Student, a is used. And book, a is used. Now you see this, all the nouns, they are countable, singular. So singular countable nouns before we use a article. The article definitely they must be used before the consonant sound. Okay, now one more important rule is the most important rule where we confuse a lot here. You observe that with a vowel giving the sound of a consonant here. Sometimes the vowel letter also they give the consonant sounds. For example, you see union. Union, the word which starts with the U is a vowel letter, but it gives the consonant sound. Am I right? A union, a university. Now you see a European, a unique book, a universal problem, a uniform, a U, a E W E. That is also U pronunciation. Why U? U pronunciation it gives that here. Actually, the letter is vowel letter, but sound is consonant. But so that's why we should concentrate only sound. Okay, now the consonant sound. Before the consonant sound, which is the singular and countable, we use a article. Is it clear? Now I am saying that here, where do we use a article and an article? So a article is used before the singular countable nouns, which are consonant sounds. Is it clear? Sometimes the letter is vowel, but it gives that consonant sound. At the time we use a article. Example I said, here second you observe that with a vowel giving the sound of a consonant. For example, a one-eyed man. You see vowel letter actually vowel. Observe, see vowel letter is a S vowel letter, but here the sound is wa sound it gives. So that's why which kind of article we use here? A article. And one more important, a university student here. U actually what kind of the letter it is? Vowel letter. It's A, E, I, O, U. 5 letters, vowel letters. But here, you see that U is the vowel letter. But sound is U. Why U? U sound. A sound is giving that. So that's why A is used here. A European. E also vowel letter. But sound consonant sound. So A article is used. A unique book. A uniform. A universal problem. See, this all the words when we observe that here, the word which begins with the vowel letter, but they give consonant sound. So that's why the article A is used. Okay, now that is a sound. Based on the sound, how do we use A and an article? Yes, I am explaining that here. Now B, second rule. Observe that here. An is used before a word beginning with a vowel sound. When do we use an article? An article is used before the vowel sound, which is a singular countable noun. And it gives vowel sound. Then we use an article. So for example, you see that here an elephant, a sound. It is a vowel sound. You see that here an apple, a sound. You observe that an is used here. An ass, an umbrella. You see that a sound. So a sound is nothing but vowel sound, So that's why we have to use an article before the vowel sound, which are countable singular nouns. And next, one more important. Sometimes here H always. Sometimes you see that when we use H, the word which begins with the H, sometimes it's silent. So you see that an hour, H is silent here. An air, H is silent. An honorable person, an honorary post, an honest man, an hourly visit, not ha. What we use? The pronunciation a. Actually, H letter is consonant letter. But here, in this particular case here, what happened here? It gives, it is a silent word. It is a silent letter. Understand? H is a silent letter here. So that's why we give the pronunciation vowel sound. So that's why we use article an. Is it clear? No. H is a silent. So that's why the word which gives the pronunciation a, at the time we use an article. We use it. Is it clear? So this is the first rule. What is the rule? Rule number 1 here, based on the sound, how do we use indefinite articles? That only I am explained. Okay, na? For example, you see that with consonant sound, how do we use a article? And with vowel sound, how do we use an article? Is it clear? Yes. One example here, with the consonant pronouns with the sound of a vowel. Okay, now you see that an LLB, actually abbreviations, you see that here, short forms, LLB. Okay, MP, actually they are the consonanted letters, but here MP, you see that MLA and MLA, MA, Not, we don't see the letter actually, we have to see only the pronunciation here. You see that consonant pronounced with a sound of a vowel. So here abbreviations, you see, an SP, Superintendent of Police, you see, an FIR. Actually when we see, actually you see that the abbreviations, we observe that they starts with the consonant letter. So when we use abbreviations, we use an article. Is it clear? For example, you see member of parliament, then we use a member of parliament. Now MLA, member of legislative assembly, then a member of legislative assembly, we say that here. But here abbreviation they use. Before the abbreviation, the letter which gives that vowel sound, then we use an article. This is the most important rule. Yes, we have to keep in our mind. Is it clear, Nana? Rule number 2, observe that here. Indefinite article a or an used when we talk of a thing or a person. Indefinite or that is mentioned for the first time in the sense of one. So second rule number 2, what is the second rule number 2 here? When do we use a and an article? In the sense of one. So when we talk of thing or person, indefinite of that a mention for the first time. Okay, when we talk about a person or place or thing, you know, okay, the first time we use a or an. Means person, thing or any object, they don't refer particularly. Understand? Person, object or anything, they don't refer particularly. They use only for the first time. Means in the sense of one, a or an article we use. Already I have given the clarity. When do we use a article and when do we use an article? An article is used before the vowel sounds, which are countable singular nouns. And a article is used before the consonant sound, which are singular countable noun. Now I am saying the second rule. When we use the second rule, you observe that here in the sense of one meaning. In the sense of one meaning means the article which doesn't refer. The article which doesn't refer a particular person, place or anything. Means in the sense of one, we use a and articles here. For example, you see before singular countable common noun, when it is continued, it is mentioned for the first time, representing the no particular person or thing. For example, I need a book. 12 inches make a foot. A beggar came to my door. Please get me a scooter. She gave her a notebook. You see that? This all you observe that a book, a foot, yes, you see that a beggar, a scooter, and next one is that here. What is that here? A notebook. You observe that? This all you observe that here. They refer as not particular person, particular thing. So that's why we use article a. Okay, now an article we use before the consonant sound. Okay, now you see. And one more important rule here in the sense of one meaning. As before a singular countable which is used, a single out person or something as representative of a class or thing, animals as persons here. You observe that a cow is a usual animal. Means a cow is a usual animal means any animal. So here a or an in the sense of any meaning. Any meaning. In the first example I said, you know, a need a book means here, a need a book means one book here. One book here. Now here second example, a cow is useful animal means any animal, any cow. So many animals, any cow we say that here. So this is a B rule here. A beggar cannot be a chooser here. A beggar means any beggar. Next one, a rose is a beautiful flower means any rose. Next one, a son should be obedient. Any son here means here in the sense of any we use a or an article. Okay, now in the sense of one we use a or an article. In the sense of any a or an article we use. Okay, now next one, to make a common noun of a proper noun to express quality. To express quality, to make a common noun of a proper noun. A Shylock is living in my neighborhood here means here you see that you observe that example here. A Shylock is living in my neighborhood means a cruel miser here. Next example, he is a Vikramaditya known for his fairness, a just man here. Means here that particular person, it doesn't refer the particular person here. And it shows that proper noun is used as a common noun here. Okay, to express the quality. Then we use an article here. Actually before proper nouns we don't use, but to express the quality. Okay, now instead of the proper noun, you see that to express the quality is we use to make a common noun of a proper noun. So at the time we use, for example, is Kalidas is a Shakespeare of India. We use a Kalidas. You like this here. A Shailak is living in my neighborhood. He is a Vikramaditya known for his fairness. Like we use that before the proper nouns when we have to express the quality of a proper noun. Okay, now next one you see that in certain expression of quantity with certain numbers and expressions of price, rate, speed, ratio. Rupees 10 a kilo per meaning, in the sense of per. Okay, in the sense of per, rate, speed, ratio. Half a dozen mangoes, like we use. Per, in the sense of per, we use AR an article, this important rule. And when AR an represents a weekend from of a preposition in, for example, he earns 50,000 rupees a year. A year means per year. Okay, now next one. We should brush our teeth 2 times a day. So preposition in the when a and represents a weekend form of preposition in here, in a day, in year, like in the sense of in the place of when we use a day, a year, like this. Okay, now like next one, in explanation with what or how before the singular countable nouns for examples. Is it clear, Nana? Okay, see, in exclamations with what or how, sometimes exclamations, exclamation of sentences here. What a hot day. What a hot day, and what a naughty child, what a fool he is, what a pretty girl, how fine a day, like explanations. So when we use explanation also we use a or an articles. Okay, now next one. Okay, now see that one more example here. The position of indefinite article in the following adverbs: rather, very, much, quite, so, to, such as. When we use in the sentence all the words, yes, definitely we use a or an articles. Entivi e padalavi rather, very, much, quite, so, to, such. ఈ పదాలు మనకు సెంటెన్స్లో కనిపించినాయి అంటే వాటిలో మనం ఏ ఆర్టికల్స్ని యూజ్ చేయాలి, ఇండెఫినెట్ ఆర్టికల్ని యూజ్ చేయాలి. ఇది ఒక ఇంపార్టెంట్ రూల్ ఆల్సో. రాదర్, వెరీ, మచ్, క్వైట్, సో, టు, సచ్. These words when we use in the sentences, definitely indefinite article we use it. This important rule గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. It is rather a nuisance. It is rather a good step. He is a very good person. Okay, he is a much hated character. He is such a nice man that everybody likes him. Like it's a quite an interesting story. Now, like these words, when these words appears in the sentences, definitely we use indefinite articles or and used. Next one important rule here. You observe that here. Before a person not known to the speaker. Before the person not known to the speaker. ఒక పర్సన్ ముందు అంటే బిఫోర్ ఏ పర్సన్ నాట్ నోన్ టు ద స్పీకర్ తెలియనప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేయాలి అక్కడ? ఏ మిస్టర్ గుప్తా, ఏ మిస్సెస్ శర్మ. వెన్ వీ డోంట్ నో ద స్పీకర్, ద పర్సన్ పర్టికులర్లీ, దెన్ వీ యూస్ ఏ ఆర్ అన్ ఆర్టికల్, ఇండెఫినిట్ ఆర్టికల్స్ని యూస్ చేయాలి బిఫోర్ ఏ పర్సన్ నాట్ నోన్ టు ద స్పీకర్. ఓకేనా? దెన్ వీ యూస్ ఏ మిస్టర్ గుప్తా, ఏ మిస్సెస్ శర్మ, లైక్ దిస్. ద స్పీకర్ వెన్ హీ డజంట్ నో అబౌట్ హిమ్, like when we use that a Mr. Gupta, like before a person not known to the speaker, then we use a articles or an article, indefinite articles before the verbs used as a nouns. Sometimes here the verbs which are used as a nouns, కొన్ని సందర్భాల్లో వర్బ్స్ నౌన్స్గా పనిచేస్తూ ఉంటాయి. ఆ సందర్భంలో మనం ఆర్టికల్, ఇండెఫినిట్ ఆర్టికల్స్ని యూజ్ చేయాలి, ఏ కానీ అండ్ కానీ. ఫర్ ఏ స్విమ్, ఫర్ ఏ విజిట్, ఫర్ ఏ డ్రైవ్, హ్యావ్ ఏ టేస్ట్, హ్యావ్ ఏ పెయిన్, ఫర్ ఏ టాక్. Okay, now you see that swim, visit, drive, taste, pain, talk, walk, rest, mind. These are all verbs actually. Okay, now verbs actually, but they used as a nouns. When the verbs which are used as a nouns, definitely we use a articles, indefinite articles ni use cheyali, e gaani and gaani. Idi okati important rule. For a walk, for a visit, for a drive, have a taste antuntam, right? Have a pain antuntam, for a talk antuntam, for a walk. ఇవన్నీ వర్బ్సే, కానీ అవి ఎలా పనిచేస్తున్నాయి? ఇప్పుడు నౌన్గా పనిచేస్తున్నాయి. ఓకే, నౌన్గా పనిచేస్తున్నప్పుడు కూడా ఇండెఫినెట్ ఆర్టికల్ యూజ్ చేయాలి. నెక్స్ట్ సర్టన్ ప్రైజెస్ కూడా. ఇన్ ఏ హరీ అంటాం, ఎస్, టేక్ ఏ లైకింగ్ అంటాం, టేక్ ఏ ఫ్యాన్సీ అంటాం, టెల్ ఏ లై, ఏ పిటీ, ఫీల్ ఏ షేమ్, మేక్ ఏ నాయిస్. సర్టన్ ఫ్రేజెస్, ఒక సర్టన్ ఫ్రేజెస్, కొన్ని ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఇన్ ఏ హరీ అంటుంటాం, ఇన్ ఏ హరీ అంటుంది, అదొక ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్. నెక్స్ట్ టేక్ ఏ లైకింగ్ అంటుంటాం, టేక్ ఏ ఫోటో అంటుంటాం, టేక్ ఏ ఫ్యాన్సీ అంటుంటాం, టెల్ ఏ లై అంటుంటాం, ఒక టేక్ ఏ ఫోటో అంటుంటాం, క్యాజువల్గా చూడండి టేక్ ఏ ఫోటో అంటుంటాం. ఎస్ ఎపిటీ అంటుంటాం, ఎపిటీ అంటుంటాం జనరల్గా. ఎస్ ఫీల్ అ షేమ్ అంటుంటాం, మేక్ ఏ నాయిస్ అంటుంటాం జనరల్గా మనం సర్టన్ ఫ్రేజెస్ మేక్ ఏ నాయిస్, మేక్ ఏ నాయిస్, మేక్ ఏ నాయిస్ అంటుంటాం. డోంట్ మేక్ ఏ నాయిస్ అంటుంటాం. You say don't make a noise. It's a certain phrases. Before certain phrases, then we use indefinite article a. Next, before the words denoting numbers ni denote చేసేటప్పుడు ముందు కూడా మనం ఏం చేయాలి, ఆర్టికల్ ఇండెఫినిట్ని యూజ్ చేయాలి. ఇది 100, 1,000,000, a dozen అని, a dozen, a million, a 100 అని కూడా మనం యూజ్ చేయాలి, గుర్తుపెట్టుకో. నెక్స్ట్ బిఫోర్ ద అడ్జెక్టివ్స్ లిటిల్ అండ్ ఫ్యూ టు గివ్ ద సెన్స్ ఆఫ్ సమ్. ఓకేనా, లిటిల్ ఫ్యూ అనేది ఆర్టికల్ లేకుండా ఉంటే అవి నెగిటివ్ సెన్స్. కానీ ఏ ఆర్టికల్ని కానీ యూజ్ చేసినప్పుడు అదేమవుతుంది, ఇట్ గివ్ సమ్ అనే మీనింగ్లో వస్తుంది అనమాట. ఏ లిటిల్ అంటే సమ్ క్వాంటిటీ అండ్ ఏ ఫ్యూ అంటే సమ్ నెంబర్. ఓకేనా, నెంబర్. ఓకే, లిటిల్ అంటే సమ్ క్వాంటిటీ, ఏదైనా మనకు అన్కౌంటబుల్ నౌన్స్ ముందు మనం యాక్చువల్గా లిటిల్ యూజ్ చేస్తాం. ఫ్యూ అనేది కౌంటబుల్ నౌన్స్ ముందు యూజ్ చేస్తాం. ఇక్కడ నెంబర్ వచ్చిన ఏ ఫ్యూ చాక్లెట్స్, ఏ ఫ్యూ చాక్లెట్స్ అంటాం, ఏ ఫ్యూ పెన్స్ అంటుంటాం, ఏ లిటిల్ షుగర్ అంటుంటాం. ఇక్కడ అన్కౌంటబుల్ నౌన్స్, బిఫోర్ ద అన్కౌంటబుల్ నౌన్స్ వి యూజ్. బట్ వితౌట్ ఆర్టికల్ ఇండెఫినెట్ యూ సీ దట్ లిటిల్, ఐ హ్యావ్ ఫ్యూ చాక్లెట్స్ అని మనకు అక్కడ ఇట్ గివ్స్ అ నెగిటివ్ మీనింగ్. ఒకవేళ ఆర్టికల్ ఏ ఉందనుకోండి అక్కడ ఏమవుతుంది, పాజిటివ్ మీనింగ్, అంటే సమ్ చాక్లెట్స్ వీ హ్యావ్ అన్నట్టు. అక్కడ ఐ హ్యావ్ ఏ ఫ్యూ చాక్లెట్స్ అంటే ఐ హ్యావ్ సమ్ చాక్లెట్స్ అని. ఐ హ్యావ్ ఫ్యూ చాక్లెట్స్ అన్నప్పుడు ఐ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ చాక్లెట్స్ అని అక్కడ, అర్థమవుతుందా? సో లిటిల్, ఫ్యూ, దే ఆర్ ఆల్ adjective. Actually they are adjectives. Before that, when we use indefinite article, they give the positive meaning. When we don't use any indefinite articles, they give the complete negative meaning. That we understand that. Okay na? Is it clear? And next one, there is no plural of a and some or any is the equivalent of the plural here. A horse means some horses, any horses. An orange, some oranges. There is no plural of an orange means some oranges, like that here. When you want to say that, there is no plural sense. Actually there is no plural sense of a or hand. Then we can take that some or any is the equivalent of the plural, some or any. Some fruits, some oranges, some horses, like any horses, like we use it. So this is the indefinite articles. Let us discuss about the uses of definite articles. When we use the article, actually the article is used is before the singular countable nouns, uncountable nouns. Actually the article used, and the article is used is called definite article. Definite article means what here? The article which refer particular person, place, any object is that article is called definite article. Is it clear? Indefinite article means the article which doesn't refer any particular person, place or any object. They are called indefinite articles. A and they are indefinite article. I discussed in the is next the article definite article. Definite article means what here? It refers particular person, particular place, particular thing or any object. Okay, they are called the definite articles. So where do we use the article? The article also is used before singular countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Okay, we use the article. Actually if indefinite articles only is used before singular countable nouns. The article used before uncountable nouns and plural nouns also. Singular countable nouns, uncountable nouns and plural nouns also we use the article. They are the contrast between the indefinite article and definite article. Definite means definitely means it refers particular. Indefinite articles, it doesn't refer particularly. So that is the main contrast between the indefinite articles and the definite articles. So now let us discuss the rule number 3 here. So what is rule number 3 here? When we talk of a particular person or a thing, as already mentioned, known or under discussions here. So when we talk of a particular person or a thing, as already mentioned, known or under the discussion. When we discuss something about a particular person or thing already mentioned, then we use the article here. So you observe that example, then you understand a lot here. The book is not available in the market here. Means the book means which you mentioned, means already it is mentioned, already it is mentioned, and we are talking about a particular book. That we are talking about a particular book, so that's why the article is used. Means it refers particularly. Then, so that's why the is used. The book is not available in the market means already mentioned here. It shows particularly thing. So that's why the article is used. Now let us study the lesson carefully. Lesson in hand. The lesson means particular lesson. Okay, now the lesson already know that. So then we use the article. Means the article especially it refers particular person, place or any object. They are called definite articles here. So I said clearly the article is used before the singular countable nouns, uncountable nouns and plural nouns also. So that will I am discussing here. Now next one, you observe that before proper nouns, unique objects when they refer to the names of historical buildings, mountain ranges, planets, rivers, oceans, girls, groups of islands, holy books, ordinals, descriptive names of countries, states, newspapers, magazines, deserts, superlative degree, names of trains, hotels, shops, trains. Like we use especially the article here. Before proper nouns, they refers unique objectives. Unique objectives. Yes, the article used before the proper nouns which refers unique objects. Example, for example, you see that they refer the names of historical buildings. Historical buildings, you know, yes, historical buildings, mountain ranges, okay, now planets, rivers names, oceans names, girls names, group of islands names, holy books, ordinals, descriptive names of countries, okay, states, newspapers, magazines, deserts, superlative degree, name of the trains, hotels, shops, trains. Before all these, we use the articles. Example, you see that is the Persian Gulf, the Taj Mahal, historical building, and the Netherlands, islands before, the Indian Ocean, oceans before, the best picture, okay, now only unique object, the Sudan, okay, now the Ganges, the first man, ordinal numbers, first, second, third, you know, when we use ordinal numbers, we use the article here. The USA, okay, now USSR, okay, now the Himalayas, mountain ranges, not peaks, no. Before the peaks, we don't use any articles. Okay, now before the mountains, we use the Aravalli, the Himalayas, okay, now like we use. And the Kilimanjaro, we don't express it. The Everest, we don't express it. Okay, now the Bay of Bengal, the Ranji, the Vedas, okay, now holy books, okay, now Rajdhani Express, so train, before the train names, the moon, the sun, the earth, the front line, the north pole, directions, before the directions, okay, now like unique objects which refers the proper nouns, we use the article. Very important rule you should keep in the mind. Lot of students they confused here. Okay, now once again I repeat here, they refer to the names of historical buildings, mountain ranges, planets, rivers, oceans, girls, group of islands, holy books, ordinals, descriptive names of countries. Descriptive name of countries means here I said clearly, you know, the USA, the USSR, the UK, like this here. States, newspapers, magazines, deserts, superlative degrees is the strongest, okay, not the strongest, the smallest, like, okay, the most beautiful, like superlative degrees before. Names of trains, hotels, shops, trains, for examples. Like we use the article, this is the most important, okay. Now next I said clearly one note, important note here, the is not used before Aravalli and Everest because they are not mountain ranges. Everest, Aravalli, they are not mountain ranges. Before the mountain ranges only we use the articles. Before the peaks we don't use any article. Keep in mind. And next, when a singular noun expresses a class of animal or things, but the is avoided with their plural form and person to express a class. For example, you see the dog is a faithful animal. The rose is a sweet flower. The cow is economical useful. Okay, the cows is economically useful. The son should not be obedient. Here delete the here. Why? Because delete the use a the before a person does not express a class or person. Means here when a singular noun express a class of animal or things, okay, now but the is avoided with their plural forms and persons to express a class. Okay, now a class we don't express the article. Okay, now we use dog is a faithful animal, cow is a economical useful, cows are is economical useful, son should be obedient. Here delete the use. A use a, the before a person does not express a class of persons. Okay, now like we use, this is a rule here. I hope you understand. Like once again I said clearly, when a singular noun express a class, singular noun express a class of animal or things, but the is avoided here. When we use singular noun express a class of an animal or thing, okay now, so then we don't use the articles. Is it clear Nana here? Okay now, so yes, there with their plural forms and persons to express a class here. Okay, the dog is a faithful animal, the cow is a unanimal, the rose is a sweet flower, the dogs are faithful. Okay, like we have to express it. Indefinite article a is used here. We don't use the. Actually, we use a article when you express the whole class. Okay, now when you express this all the singular nouns as a whole class, we use a article. I said a cow is a faithful animal. Means a cow means. I said a cow means any cow, but we don't use the particular. It doesn't refer the particular here. So very important here. Okay, na? Delete the here. In the sense of any, to single out a person, a thing, or any animal as a representative of a class. A son should be obedient. A mango is a sweet fruit. A cow is a useful animal. Son should be obedient. Like we use. Means in the sense of any, we use a article, indefinite article we use it, but we don't use the article. Okay, this is important rule here. These are two important rules here. Okay, the man, woman, mankind is a general sense to represent human race are used without articles here. When you want to express in the general sense to represent the human race, yes, no need to use any articles. For example, man is a mortal. Okay, now like use it in the general sense. When you want to use man, woman, or mankind in the general sense to represent a human race, no need to use any article. No need to use any article. Man is a mortal. Yes, man is a mortal. Man is mortal means no need to use any articles here. Okay, you use the general sense. When you use the general sense, man, woman, or mankind, no need to use any articles. That is important here. Yes, before an adjective, when it represents a class of a person. Before an adjective, when it represents a class of a persons here. The rich means rich people. The old means old people here. It represents a class of persons. The rich means only one singular. Is a rich people. The poor means poor people. Understand? Like the rich should be help the poor means rich people should help the poor. Yes, the poor. The poor means not only single here, whole class here. Then we use, and it means before an adjective when it represents a class. Before an adjective, when it represents a class of persons, we use the rich, the poor, the old, Yes, we use like the articles here. Next, very important, musical instruments. Before the musical instruments, we use the article. You can play the flute. She is fond of playing the harmonium. So, before the musical instruments, what kind of article we use it? The article we use it. Okay. Next, as an adverb with comparative sense. As an adverb with a comparative sense, double comparison. For example, some sentences we use double comparison. Like example, the sooner the better. The higher you go, the colder it is. The higher you go, the colder. Yes, it is. Now you see that two comparison, double comparison. So double comparison in the sense we use the articles now. Double comparison. Okay now. Next, one more important. Before comparative degree in the sense of choice. In the sense of choice, she is the weaker of the two sisters. Yes, which is the more beautiful of the two sisters. Okay, the choice. In the base of choice, we use the articles. Choice. In the base of choice, you see that before comparative degree. In the case of a choice, she is the weaker of the two sisters. She is the weaker of the two sisters means only one here. And now choice. Now next, which is the more beautiful of the two sisters? Choice. Okay, now when you want to express the choice, okay, in the comparative degree, we use the articles here. You see that? The weaker, the more beautiful, like we use it. When you want to say, when you want to express choice in the degrees, comparative degree here. And next, before proper noun for the sake of comparison. I said clearly, Shakespeare. Now, for example, Kalidas is a Shakespeare of India. So now proper noun is comparison to another person here. Then we can express the article. We can use the article before the proper nouns. But actually we don't use any article before the proper nouns. But here when we compare the proper noun to another proper noun, then we use the article. But when you say only single proper noun, we don't express it. That is important here. Okay, na? Yes. Shivaram Vardhan is the Sachin Tendulkar of Indian cricket team. Now I say Shivaram Vardhan compared to the Sachin Tendulkar, like that here. We use like. Okay, na? Next. Before the sports cups and trophies, sports. Before the sports cups and trophies also we use like the articles. Especially India won the Singer Cup last year. A number of teams are taking part in the World Cup. Now World Cup is a cup, before the cups. Okay, na? Before the sports cups and before the trophies we use the articles. Very important here. And next, before physical positions, the top, center, back, front, like the physical positions, when we want to express the physical positions, then we use the article, the top, the center, the front, okay, now the back, like this we use it. Next, which is the cardinal points. The sun rises in the east, the Himalayas are to the north of India. Cardinal points also, okay, with the cardinal points also we use the article here. Okay, now directions like that here. Unit of measurements also. Gold is sold by the meter, the dozen. You see, eggs are sold by the dozen. Okay, now before a unit of measurement, also we use the article. Yes, cloth is sold by the meter. Eggs are sold by the dozen, like. Before a caste and communities, the Rajputs are brave people, the Marathas are hardworking here. Caste and community. Okay, now when we express like. Before the adjective same and whole, and after the adjective all and both used with the plural nouns. This is the same book that you gave me. The whole class was absent. Both the boarders were honest. All, both, when we use in the sentence, definitely after all, after the both, definitely we use the articles. Keep in mind, both and all, when we use in the beginning of the sentence, after these two words, we use the article. So example, you see that both the brothers were honest here. Both after the article is used. All the boys were present here. All after the is used. Okay, now like all sugar is wasted. You see, actually sugar is uncountable nouns. Okay, now here all sugar is wasted. So the whole class was absent here. Like we use it. Okay, clear? So in the certain idiomatic phrases we use it. For example, in the wrong, in the town, in the a, out of the question. Okay, some certain idiomatic expressions. On the contrary, the benefit of the doubt, idiomatic. Speak the truth. In the right. In the right, okay, speak the truth. Some idiomatic phrases when we want to express, we use the in the wrong, in the town, in the a, out of the question, on the contrary, the benefit of the doubt, speak the truth, in the right. Okay, na? Certain idiomatic phrases we use the article also. Okay, next one more important rule before a common noun to give the force of superlative degrees. Yeah. Now you see superlative degrees. Superlative degrees also we use. Okay, now she is the woman, and you see that. Before a common noun to give in the force of the superlative. She is the woman. He is the man for this job. Okay, Netaji was the leader. So when you want to express as a common noun, before a common noun to give, it's the force of a superlative here. Actually, woman is a common noun here. Man is a common noun. Leader is a common noun. So, but here the words are used as a superlative. So that's why we use the article. Is it clear? So I said clearly. Yes, before common noun to give it a sense of abstract noun. The judge in him, the mother, the beast in him, like this. Sense of justice, sense of mother, sense of beast we use. Okay, na? Before the sense of the abstract. Actually, we don't use abstract noun before that. But the abstract noun is used as common noun, so that's why we use the article here. Actually, generally direct, we don't use the article before the abstract nouns. But abstract nouns is used as a common noun. I said, before the proper nouns also we don't use any articles. But the proper nouns used as a common noun, we use the article. Abstract nouns before also we don't use any article. But the abstract nouns used as a common noun. Understand? So then we use it here. So here before inventions also, okay, inventions what we invented, that telephone, wireless television, like, okay, before them also we use, okay, now this article the is used here. He was watching television, he was listening to the radio, like. So before the name, before the name, name of professions and used collectively here, the press, the bench, like this here. The bench means as a group of people, judges, like that here. Before noun qualified by adjectives here, the former president, here you see president. Yes, before a noun qualified by adjectives here. This is a noun and this qualified the former, So the immortal Shakespeare, the late Sri S.C. Bose here. Okay, now like this here. Before the, yes, they qualify by adjectives. The before noun we use it. Actually before nouns we don't use, but they are qualified by adjectives. So that's why we use the article noun here. The Subhash Chandra Bose we don't say. The Shakespeare we don't say that. But these all the nouns, they are qualified by the adjectives, formal, former, immortal, late, So that's why we use the article. Actually generally we don't use the article before the proper nouns. The proper nouns which are qualified by the adjective, so then we use the article. That is the rule here. Okay, now next, before the case of oppositions, Netaji, okay, now the hero of modern, okay, noun case, okay, noun case in opposition we use it like this. Who can underestimate Mr. Vajpayee, the former prime minister, like this here. Noun, especially noun case in opposition we use like this here. Next, before the dates, the 10th of May, when you say the date like this, 5th of September, the 5th of September, 10th of May, 15th August, 15th of August, like when you say half, middle the date and month, then we use the. Very important here, you should keep in mind. Before the organs of government here, the judiciary, the legislature, okay, now organs of government, okay. Next, before the parts of the body, he hit me on the back, okay, now she caught me by the arm, before the parts, before the body parts, okay, in the place of possessive adjectives here. So before the political parties, the BJP party, the TRS party, the Janata party, like before the parties also we use. And next, before the armed forces, the army, the air force, the police, like. Before the dynasties and empires, wars, revolutions, centuries, okay, the Gupta dynasty, the Mauryan dynasty, okay, the Vedic ages, okay, the 16th century, the 6th century, the British Empire, like, okay, before empires and dynasties, wars, revolutions and centuries, okay, before that the article used. And before language to signify nationality here, the Chinese are hard working, the Japanese are patterns out and out here. Means before the language actually we don't use, but they signify the nationality. Okay, they signify the nationality, we use it. But the English, like we don't say that. Before the language we don't use. Okay, now, like when it signifies that nationality, then we use it. The Japanese, the Chinese, like we use it. Okay, now signifies. Actually, the English language, the mathematics, we don't say that here. When the language signifies, especially the nationality, we use the articles. Okay. Yes. Next one, before the nationality here, for example, the Greeks, the Asians, the Indians, like, okay, no? But we say an Indian, an Asian, a Greek, like that, we say that. Before the little and few, the little, some but all, the few, some but all here. I said clearly little is used before the uncountable nouns, few is used before the countable nouns here. Okay, no? Yes, they are the important definite articles where do we use in the sentences. Okay, no? Now next one, the most important point here, where we don't use especially articles in the sentences. That is the most important topic. Okay, now let us discuss. We are going to discuss about that. Before school, college, home, church, temple, sea, work, bed, table, hospital, market, prison, court, when their purpose is thought of rather than the actual building or place. Yes, we don't use any articles. Means primary purpose and secondary purpose. Primary purpose, no need to use any articles, primary purpose. Secondary purpose, we have to use article da here. For example, when you go to the temple regularly, when you go to the school regularly, That is a primary thing. So at the primary purpose, no need to use any articles here. So in the secondary purpose, yes, rarely you are going to visit the temple, you are going to visit the schools. Like then we use the articles here. That is the important rule here. And one more important note here: the is used before office, cinema, movie, theater, picture, circus, station, bus stop here. So always we use the article before these words here: office, cinema, movie, theater, picture, circus, station, bus stop here. Here we don't see that any primary purpose and secondary purpose of these words here. What the words are given here. Always we use the article for these words: office, cinema, movie, picture, theater, circus, station, bus stop. When we use these words in the sentences, before them definitely we use the article. So remaining, I said clearly, before that here: school, college, home, church, temple, sea, work, bed, table, hospital, market, prison, court. So before these words, if you say in the primary purpose, yes, no need to use any article. But secondary purpose, definitely we use the articles. Okay, this is one important rule here. And one more important rule here: before hobbies, professions, and sports. So before hobbies and before professions, before sports, we never use any articles. Dancing in her profession, yes, gardening is his hobby, like we use, but we don't use any articles before the hobbies, professions, and sports. Okay, next, before names of diseases. So cancer, yes, cancer is dreaded disease. AIDS is spreading like wildfire. You see, before this cancer, AIDS, before them here we don't use any articles, but we can see the measles, the mumps, and the rickets, the plague, the flu. Okay, now, like this, before these diseases we use the article. This is important condition here. Okay, next, before regular meals, okay, except when preceded by an adjective here. Yes, before regular meals we don't use any articles. Yes, before breakfast, yes, dinner. Okay, no, we don't use lunch, we don't use any articles except when preceded by an adjective. So before this dinner, breakfast, lunch, before these words any adjective is used, definitely we use article here. For example, you see, I take breakfast at 8 a.m. here. So breakfast here, before that breakfast any adjective is not there, so that's why here the article didn't use here. And you should take dinner early here. So dinner, before any adjective is not there, so that's why we didn't use any articles here. And they gave us a good breakfast. You see that here before breakfast is good is there here. Good is an adjective, so before breakfast good is there, so that's why we use before adjective, definitely we use the articles here. So there is a main condition here: before regular meals we don't use any articles, but preceded by an adjective, that words will be there here, that definitely we use articles a and the. So according to the situation we use that here. That is a main important condition here. Next one, before parts of the body. Before parts of the body also we don't use any articles. Liver is the largest organ of human body. So before the parts of speech we never use any articles. You should keep in the mind. Next, before modes of travel here, he will go by air. A journey by road is very comfortable. So like this, okay, now when we use modes of travel, then we don't use any articles. This is also one important condition, keep in mind. And before names of relations, like here uncle, mother, father, etc., in a place of possessive adjectives, so we never use any articles. So father will go to Delhi tomorrow, and auntie is expected any moment here. So before father and uncle and auntie, actually we never use any articles before these words here. And one more important point here is certain phrases here: to lose heart, to set foot, to give ear, by day, at sunrise, at home, last but not least, to catch fire, to send forth, is to send word, in hand, by name, at last. So before these certain phrases also we never use any articles. It is the most important point here. So many times they ask in exams here, before the certain phrases they use unnecessarily articles. So before these certain phrases we never use any articles. To lose heart, to set foot, to give ear, by day, at sunrise, at home, last but not least, to catch fire, to send word, in hand, by name, at last. Before these certain phrases, we never use any articles. Study the following phrases carefully here. In summer, winter, we never use any article. But you see, in the summer season, summer season, when we use in the sentence here, definitely we use the article, summer season. From beginning to end, we never use any articles. But from the beginning of the day to the end of the day here, like we use the article. From right to left, we never use. Keep to the left, we use like. At dawn, at midday, at noon, at night, at dusk, we never use any articles. But during the day, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the night, like we use the articles. Next week, last week also, we never use any articles. But the next question and the last question, like we use the articles here. So these are very important omission of articles. And one more important here, before such nouns, cattle, as gentry, people, when they are used in general sense, we never use articles here. Cattle, gentry, and peoples. In the general sense, we never use it. And little few, little few also, little sugar, hardly any. Means little sugar means it is a negative sense completely here. Few students, hardly anyone means negative sentence. There is no any students, there is no any sugar. Yes, like we use little sugar, few students here. This is the most important. And one more important fifth rule here. So when two or more connected nouns refer to the same person or thing, the article should be used before the first noun. So when two or more connected nouns refer to the same person or thing, the article should be used before the first noun. Example, you see the Prime Minister and the President are visiting the town today. Yes, you see here, and however the article is used before the each noun if they refers to two different persons or objects. You see that the Prime Minister and the President are visiting the town today here. That example, you observe that here they are the two persons here, the different persons too. Okay, two different persons holding two different posts here. So that's why here our helping verb is used. And second statement, you observe that the Prime Minister and President of the party is on a visit to the town today. One person holding two posts here. Now above one sentence here, first statement is they are the two persons. Yes, they are the two persons holding two different posts here. So that's why helping verb are used. Here second statement, you observe that only single person, but here it has a two post. He has a two posts. So then we use only single helping verb. This is the most important condition here. When you want to say the two persons, definitely we use the article before the two. Okay, now when you want to say only one single person but two qualities, yes, only article the is used here. And one more important here, similarly, one article before the first adjective is used when two or more adjectives qualify the same noun here. For example, you see she is wearing a block and is a white saree. Is a wrong statement here. So why? Because here is saree. Okay, now you see that similarly one article before the first adjective is when two or more adjectives qualify the same noun here. Saree actually is qualified only the same noun here. So that's why we don't use more articles. We use only one article as before the first one. Okay, now here's black and white. You say the two adjectives are there here, but it refers only one single noun here. So that's why we use only one single article before the first one here. So she is wearing a black and white saree. We don't say a white saree. Why? Because black, white, it refers only one single noun. So that's why we use that article in the first adjective here. That is the important condition. If there are two articles before ordinals, use singular noun. In the case of articles before one ordinal, each noun should be used in the plural form. The first and the second chapter are very difficult here. They are both different. The first and second chapters are very difficult here. So like we use it. If there are two articles before ordinals, use singular noun. Yes, in the case of articles before one ordinal, noun should be used in the plural form here. So in these cases, we can use his omission of articles like here. So article is not repeated in the plural forms. Verb is plural form in the sentence given in C here. Okay, they are the very important omission of articles where we don't use the articles in particular statements. So I hope you understand articles chapter. Okay, now thank you. Okay, let us discuss about that omission of articles where we don't use articles in the particular statements. Okay, so now first rule is before proper nouns. Proper nouns means specific name. Okay, now before the specific names we don't use any articles. Example, Shakespeare was the greatest dramatist. Delhi is the capital of India. See that before the proper noun, Shakespeare is the proper noun, Delhi is the proper noun. Yes, name of the place and name of the person. Here we don't use any articles like this. But one exemption, you observe that is the proper nouns which are used as a common nouns, then we use indefinite articles a or an. Okay, the now proper nouns which are used as a common noun, then we use is indefinite articles. And one more important note, you observe that the before a proper noun is used for the sake of comparison. When we compare, yes, when we compare one person to another person, then we use the article. So for example, this man is a Shylock. Yes, Samudragupta was the Napoleon of this of his age. Okay, now yes, Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India. Like we can use, yes, when we compare one person to other person, especially the proper nouns before that we can use. And one more important point here, the proper nouns which are used as a common nouns, then we use indefinite article. In these two cases we can use indefinite articles and definite articles, but in the remaining time we don't use articles before the proper nouns. This is the first rule. And second rule, you observe that before names of materials nouns, before we don't use any articles. So the silver is a useful metal. Tea grows in India. The tea of Assam, we can say that. The water of the Ganga is sacred, but water is sacred. The tea is very famous, we don't like that. The tea is very famous, we don't say that. The water is sacred, we don't say that. But we can say that the tea of Assam, the water of the Ganga is sacred, like we can say that here. Particular tea, particular water, they are expressing. So that's why the is used. But yes, in the singular sense, we don't use like that here. Silver is a useful metal, but the silver is a useful metal, we don't say that. The tree grows in here, we don't say that here. So especially when you want to say the particular object, then you use the article. Okay, now actually we don't use before the names of materials. But when we say that material nouns in a particular way, then we use the article. So that is the most important rule here. And before common noun used in its widest sense, the before common nouns used in its widest sense, we don't use any articles here. Man is mortal, God is omnipresent. These common nouns, there is a common of man, a God, and there are the common nouns, but they are using in the widest sense. So that's why we don't use any articles. But here see, sense of the deities. In the sense of deities, we use the articles here, the exemption here. The gods and the goddesses are kind to him here. In the sense of deities, in the sense of deities, we can use the articles. But the common noun is used in its widest sense, no need to use any articles. But in the sense of deities, we can use the articles. The most important point here, you should keep in mind. Okay, next one more important rule here where we don't use articles here. Before abstract nouns as qualities, feelings and states used in the general sense, so we don't use any articles here. So abstract nouns, already is what we can't touch and what we can't see, that they are the abstract nouns here. They also have the names, they are the abstract nouns. They express the qualities names, so they express the feelings name, they express the states names, So in the general sense, we never use any article before that. Truth is noble quality, love is a natural feeling, honesty is the best policy. You see that honesty, truth, love, they are the abstract nouns. So they are using as a general sense. So that's why we never use any article before them. But we can say, for example, the honesty of my brother is beyond any doubt. Yes, he always tells a lie. He always speaks the truth. You see that? Yes, to express the particularly, then we can say the article. We can use the articles before them here. Yes, here, whose honesty? Brother's honesty. So it expresses that brother's honesty. So that's why we are using the article. Okay, now to express particular particular abstract, then we can say that the article is used before the abstract noun. Remaining time we don't use it in the general sense. In the secondary sense, we can use the article before the abstract nouns here. Now before the noun complement, appoint, make, elect, select. Yes, before that we don't use any articles. Example, the committee appointed him captain, but we don't say the committee appointed him a captain. Yes, the captain, we don't say like that here. So when we don't use any articles here, appoint, make, elect, select any person, we don't use before that any articles here. The committee appoint him captain. They elect him president, but we don't say they elect him the president. The president, we don't say that. A president, we don't say that here. So when we don't use the article before noun complement, like when we use this kind of the verbs appoint, make, elect, select, after these words we don't use any articles. So this is the most important point here. Next one you see that before collective nouns, in the general sense, collective nouns, abstract nouns, proper nouns, we don't use any articles. But in the secondary sense, we use it here. Life is complex. Life is a collective noun. And society is also collective noun. Society doesn't allow this here. So they are using in the general sense. So that's why we never use any articles before them here. And before uncountable nouns also don't use any articles here. Uncountable, advice is uncountable noun, information is uncountable noun, so we don't use any articles before the uncountable. So for example, once again I repeat it here, before the proper nouns, before the material nouns, before the abstract nouns, before the collective nouns, before the uncountable nouns, when we express in the general sense, we don't use any articles. But when we express in the secondary sense, we can use definite article or indefinite articles according to the situations here. And very important here, before languages. Before languages also. Chinese is a difficult language, but we can express that the Chinese are hard working here. The Chinese means the people of the Chinese. Now here Chinese is used as a language, so that's why we don't use any article before the languages. He knows Russian very well. Okay, now so he knows the Sanskrit. Okay, now we express like that, but we use Sanskrit after language, so that's why the I is used here. Okay, now after the subject, after the language, when we use, I think, a Sanskrit after language is used, so that's why we express the here. He knows the Sanskrit language here. So very important, before the language we don't use any articles here. And next one, very important rule here: school, college, home, church, temple, sea, work, bed, table, hospital, market, prison, court, when their purpose is thought of rather than the actual building or place, we don't use. In the secondary purpose, you see, the first primary purpose we don't use any article, but secondary purpose we can use the article here. We go to school, as a student we go to school here. Before school we don't use articles here. We go to temple.